design fans and friends. This is Cindy Allen, editor-in-chief of Interior Design. Okay, so we just recently published a project in the magazine that was so original. Think 3D technology mixed with Thai craftsmanship. So stunning with its modern swoops and swerves that I just had to meet the talent behind the project. And since we're talking health and wellness today, and the project is a yoga studio, now seemed the perfect time to jet to Thailand over Zoom and meet Patrick Keane, Design Director of Enter Projects. Patrick, I am so excited to see you.
Thank you so much, Cindy. It's great to be here or be where I am. Good evening from Bangkok. No, it's wonderful to touch base with the New Yorkers again.
That's right. That's right. And this is going all over the place. So I'm the New Yorker, but it's going to be programmed out to the world, which is great. So first of all, let's talk about you. I understand that you worked in the States for, I don't know, over a decade, right?
I actually went to university in the US. I lived on the East Coast of America for 12 years. I lived in New York. I'm showing my age, but it was around 1992. I went to graduate school in 1995 till 1997 and stayed there until 2005. I returned to Australia and now I'm in Thailand. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, we'll get to how you even got there, but let's talk about the beginning of this project, Vicasa, right? It's like when it came on when Helene brought it to me and it was on my desk, I'm like, oh my God, this project is really something else. You really pushed the boundaries. And I understand it was the second of this brand, and the first brand kind of made sense. It's on a lush hillside, on a Thai island, and then it's coming to Bangkok, to a city. Yeah. So how did you rethink what this could be?
Well, behind me you see a natural rattan screen, and we wanted to. I'm actually talking to you from a space we're just building now. Literally, I'm on a construction site. I thought that would be appropriate. But we wanted to just bring a piece of nature into an urban hub, into Bangkok. We went back to manufacturing techniques, a lot of traditional Thai manufacturing techniques, working with baskets, working with rattan, working with noble natural materials. And we thought we'd bring the two together, working with overtly modern designs, overtly modern geometries, 3D geometries, with almost like basket weaving techniques. People that worked with this stuff for 5 generations, if not more.
Were you thinking at that time? Were you thinking that you wanted to push the boundaries of this kind of material, or like how did that happen?
Good question. Really, really good question. I wanted to go with noble materials, with natural materials. I dug around a lot after we came up with our first design submission with the client. We looked around, we found a small company that were virtually going out of business. And I asked them, why are you going out of business? And they said, because people import inferior plastic products and they call it rattan. And we've got all these craftspeople that have to go back up north, or they turn into taxi drivers, or they give up basically their arts and crafts just so they can survive. So I said, okay, I'm taking you guys on. We reopened part of the factory. We got all the workers from up north of Thailand, on the Myanmar, Laos, Thai border. There's the 3 countries. I was actually up there a few weeks ago. You can see all 3 countries. It's absolutely spectacular. It's an area called Chiang Rai. It's the Golden Triangle. I got people back here. We had a few conversations. We came up with a technique and a system how we could pass on our geometries and our ideas to these people, and it's taken off ever since. These people are now working for mainstream projects. Mainstream, yeah.
Wow, I mean, isn't it crazy how like you sort of open it up to the universe, right? You see this as an opportunity to solve a huge problem, and also creating something so contemporary with a material that we don't think of in that way.
Yeah, Usually arts and crafts means, going to a local market, getting on a tour bus,
Right.
buying a basket, not a yoga space in the equivalent of a Soho, New York area, a very contemporary area, or with Spice and Barley, which is an overtly contemporary project. It's for a big hotel group. It's the first time they tried us out. It went really well. It's sprayed gold. It's got this LED lighting, and it looks like a big Thai temple in a 30-foot high ceiling, and it's a craft beer bar. So I think it's those juxtapositions, Cindy. I think that's what design's all about. I think it's about going. I think it's old. I think it's old new, combining traditional techniques with, overtly modern technologies, and just getting momentum from that. Yeah.
Right. And we're talking about health and wellness today, and the idea of rattan, which is like a nature's material, right? You couldn't get more natural than using something like this.
It's the most sustainable material on the planet. It grows like a weed. It's got immense structural properties. You can break it. It can be fixed easily. It's dynamic. You can make geometries with it. There's cloths, there's fabrics, there's all kinds of things. We have a big opening here next Thursday. Unfortunately, I'd love to invite you. I'd love to have you here. It's huge. I'm talking from a space and actually in Chinatown here, which is an old. It's an art and cultural district, and so they gave us this space to work with our Project Rattan initiative, which is working with what we call the real people of Thailand, the arts and crafts. Yeah. And they latched onto it straight away because of everything you've mentioned, everything I've just brought up. Right. Right now, the environment can't cope with what we're doing, what we're purchasing, what we're buying. An untrained intern, I was an untrained intern once, so an untrained intern in an office could do more damage to a rainforest by clicking on a mouse for an hour. They can destroy something that took hundreds of years to grow, or a Thai forest where there's animals and plentiful wildlife. They can do more damage in 1 hour than the 100 years it took to grow. And it's a cultural problem, but just because we can get everything off the internet, because we can specify everything, it doesn't mean we can. We can because we have permission to do so, right. But we can't because the environment can't cope. Right. And it's just time to have those uncomfortable conversations, right. Come up with comfortable outcomes rather than gloss over it and pretend that it's not there. It's there. It's a huge problem. I see it very differently to the way you see it in the Western country. I'm obviously I'm an expat here, but I see it face to face with plastic issues. I see it a lot here, and I see the outcome of what I call the $1 T-shirt. What it takes to produce a $1 T-shirt to send it en masse globally is absolutely catastrophic. It cannot continue anymore, and that's just what we're promoting right now in design. We've got to get onto the case. We've got to talk about it. We've got to work this situation through.
Well, we definitely want to support you in trying to get this word out, because it is so important and critical. And I thank you for laying it out there for sure. So let's talk about the client and the project who I understand wanted something non-traditional, immersive, but also holistic.
Yeah, he came to me and he said I want something to be a portal for my brand. I want something to talk about where I came from the kind of the nature-based environment that I've got people coming from globally. He's only got about 150 rooms, which in Thailand tourism is considered quite small because this is a booming industry here, not right now. And he's got this gorgeous hillside, he's got nature, and he says, I want to make an urban hub. I want to make people feel that they taste a little bit of what I can do in the natural surroundings in an urban environment. So an old saying, the right angle is the wrong angle. We worked with a lot of geometries. We worked with a lot of smooth shapes.
Right. No right angle, no right angle, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, corners are also, corners, if you're sort of in a Zen moment, corners are tricky. Right. You just want to almost, you know, at the end of a studio, you know, feeling exuberant, you want to just float around and, you know, and cruise through. Obviously, there was programmatic requirements. That was the serious side to the business. And we actually we sketched a lot. We worked a lot with, you know, a lot of geometries. We came up with this Klein bottle concept where the inner head of the bottle twists and goes around, so the exterior surface becomes the interior. I've sent you a couple of bits and pieces on that. So that's almost like you know, the inner being externalizing themselves and working with those sort of yoga principles. So it was really an exciting journey in a manner of speaking to produce and develop all of that. Yeah.
Explain. It's so interesting that doing something so natural, you actually need technology, right? So can you give us like a quick brief on the software that you used?
Okay. Well, you're talking to somebody that's very, very tactile, but
good. Me too.
Yeah. But back in my day, I was a bit of a computer geek through my Eastern American Ivy League school training in architecture, where they cracked out the whip, and it was all long stairs down corridors. Why haven't you done this for me, and all that sort of thing. But no, but it's work needs to be relevant. It has to have relevance. You know, the technology right now is amazing. You know, iPhones are incredible devices. You know, yes, they have their disadvantages, and there's too much screen time. But you know, these things are amazing. They're amazing devices, what they can do. So, I think if a designer doesn't embrace technology and really find out the vehicles and the tools for design, they lose relevance. They're not able to be part of a conversation, a global conversation, a cultural conversation. You become redundant. It needs to be a blend of everything and all the pieces in the puzzle. Yeah.
But I understand there was something like a Maya something and a Rhino something. Were those the softwares?
Yes, yeah, they're all special effects softwares actually. They're almost like making, you know, like clay, you know, they're very, very supple, and they allow you to extrude things and, you know, make things. But also in terms of production, we print huge templates and we slice sections and we cut things, and it's about communicating to somebody that is a maker and is a traditional arts and crafts person. Hey, make that shape, do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, laying it all out, labeling it, categorizing everything, so they can just follow those directions, and it's almost like building anything. Yeah.
Right, but like I think you were saying that the process of finding craftspeople to do this, because this is complicated, that it wasn't that easy.
It's extremely complicated. There's nothing simple about what we do. That's my reason. That's my reason for getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just crack myself up. I just, you know, I think, God, what have I got myself into? Right. But you come out at the other end, and you know, it's become, I guess, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of really good craftspeople here, but they just haven't been elevated into the mainstream. They're becoming marginalized all the time. Like the first point I made about, you know, the importation of literally inferior plastic products. There's so much skill here, and it is dwindling. It's fading out. It's a little bit, you know, it's quite depressing. That's why we're really on the front foot with this initiative with Project Rattan. finding people. But it's like a mushroom. It grows. You find one person, they tell somebody else.
Right.
It starts to germinate, and conversations happen, and it becomes more than just finding a linear answer to a linear solution. And momentum, it grows in momentum, and it starts to take on its own life, the whole process. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so I also understand that, like, in the space there was like a big pod 1 and a big pod 2, and it's very true, like deciding that there would be 2 big moves clearly was the right move, and maybe a 3rd move would have been too much, right?
Yeah, there's 2 big pods and there's 2 small pods.
Mm-hmm.
And as an experience in yoga, sometimes you just want to be with a few people, not
Right.
many. You want to be with maybe a small group. Sometimes others, you have your whole bunch of friends along. They all jump in a room, and you do your yoga and etc. And it becomes more social. So the spaces they're not divisible like squares or boxes. They are just experiences. They're very tactile. One smaller, one small space is a bit bigger than the other one. One bigger space is a bit smaller than the other one. It's not numeric. It's numeric in the sense that we are able to fit certain amounts of people in the spaces, but you make your choice. If you want to go with, pod 1 private, pod A, pod B, pod B, C, pod D, depending on what mood you're in, or the one that faces the window, or the back one that's all, a little bit more intimate, etc., etc. That's just the way it goes, and I think that's the way the human mind works, and that's this whole back to nature thing. It's not numeric. It's not numbered. It's not like it's not regimented. Like the streets in New York. 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. It's just something a little bit more ephemeral. And it's about blending a physical experience with a spiritual experience, and how to marry those two in architecture, in space, not just talking about it, but actually doing it.
Yeah. So let's talk about that spiritual space, because how are the clients reacting to it, and how's the space just in terms of its success and being that place of health and wellness?
Well, some of the clients are completely freaked out. They walk in there and they don't know what's going on at all. Some of them say, "Thank God, this is so timely. I'm always exhausted, and when I go to a yoga space, it's all it's just a concrete box, not much fun." Unfortunately, due to the current situation, COVID, things are very, very quiet. And so, the businesses that particular client's business has suffered, because Thailand needs tourists. It needs, it needs vacation. It needs groups. It needs travel and tours. So yeah, the whole thing a little bit it's just quiet right now, Cindy. It's just not much is happening.
Yeah. So I guess it was really new then. It was really new, the space.
When we finished in January, and they had a couple of months of operation.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, it'll come back for sure. I do want to talk about another project on a completely different scale, which is another wellness project that you're doing in South Thailand.
Yeah, that project was actually started in COVID. When we went into the lockdown, I got a phone call by somebody that sounded really, really nervous. And he said, "I have to go back to Russia. Can you design something for me before I have to go?" I said, "When are you going back to Russia?" And he goes, "I'm going back tomorrow." So I said, "Well, that's not exactly enough time. It's not quite the way things work, with all due respect." So he was able to delay his trip. And he's in Russia now, but we're designing it remotely. We're designing it like this. We're specifying materials, and it's Cindy, it's new for me to work like that. I'm not I'm a bit of an aficionado with technology, but it's the communication thing that we've got to get our heads around. We've just got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us, I'm only seeing some, I guess, some CAD images, right?
Yeah.
But they're a series of buildings. So how are you going to make this happen? And tell me about them.
Yeah, again, it's sort of a cluster of buildings. There's a lot more. There's a swimming pool. There's a lot more like steam rooms and saunas and those sorts of things than Bicasa. And there's a restaurant on the front, which is meant to be a kind of a completely open restaurant. So you actually see through the whole precinct into the back rooms, and it's all completely open. So we're using materials from, you know, like marine plywoods that they make boats from here, traditional type boats, fishing, and we're laminating a whole series of teak timbers together to come up with the main structures. That'll give us our form and geometry, and then we're using shingles and a lot of hardwoods on the exterior to come up with the whole framework. Inside, we'll go back to working with rattan, and everything will just be on a 1 or 2 switches on a dimmer. Very, very, very low ecological footprint, very low power bills, everything super sustainable, barely air conditioned, you know, nothing. The thing will just run on the, you know, on the smell of an oil rag. If we can make sure that the buildings can sustain all the different seasons here, because we have a very, very rainy season. If we can get a comfort level in from that using the noble materials, that's the challenge for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and is this mindset of yours because you're there, or did you go there because of this mindset about sustainability and treating the environment much more sensitively?
Well, Cindy, there's an old famous saying with architects: don't hire an architect if you want to change the building. Hire an architect if you want the building to change you.
Right. Right.
So the environment has definitely changed me.
Mm.
It has made me never think in the way I've thought before. But I have to give credit to the people that I've worked with, the projects that I've worked on, and the theories and ideas that we've developed as a team. It's all about the team. And if I hadn't come across the rattan people, if I'd worked with, you know, products and things I've purchased off the internet, I would not have had the interactive experiences. It's always about going back to the source. It's always about finding out really, really, really what something is about. It's about asking the right questions. It's about digging really, really, really deep into something. And then the story unfolds, that the reality, your reality, not someone else's reality, unfolds. You start living in a reality that you've made yourself, not in somebody else's reality. Yeah.
That's really beautiful. Really, thank you. And you want, and it's like you, in a way, you know, you're giving a different gift out to the world, but you receive the gift first, right?
Yeah, and we're in a really old culture here. You know, it's overloaded a little bit by you know, Western influences, which not all bad. The food culture here, the cuisine, the food whole thing, the East and West Asian fusion is second to none. I think.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so jealous.
For the best food in the world, and
Yeah.
Western food too, right? You know,
Yeah.
pizza, anything, right? But yeah, it's about that fusion. It's about being excited. It's about digging deep and working with local skill and local crafts. About accepting those things and how you can do work and you can design and bring all of that in. I think the statement for me is, you know, making sure that you have continued relevance, that the work is relevant, that it's embracing a local, not so much an aesthetic, yes, in a sense, but not just you know, mirroring tradition, but actually coming up with a combination of different things that provides a benchmark for originality. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to make sure we mention that with your love of everything rattan, you do have a beautiful collection also of furniture that's out or coming out or you're in development of.
Well, that's actually the space I'm sitting in right now. We're in the gallery right now, and so we've got a whole bunch of stuff that's really exciting. It's opening next Thursday. We have a lot of prototypes here. We have a whole making platform about how we make these designs, because we can now ship worldwide, and we're looking to grow the initiative.
Yeah, I'll take two of those those beautiful bulbous modern chairs. Oh my God, they're amazing.
Well, I've got one right here.
Yeah, let's see.
I could see if I can get that. You can just
Oh
see one.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Okay, well, shall I put a, if you want, I can put a sold sign
Yeah,
up
right
now.
I want to ask you two things. One is, I know that you've always been fascinated with curves. We've published other things, and there was also the Edgecliff Medical Center or the Autism Center. So tell us your fascination with curves, even before rattan.
But we couldn't find a builder. We needed a lady ran a very, very busy autistic center. And she said she needed it done in 6 weeks. So me and a bunch of friends / colleagues and carpenters and people off the internet, we actually built it ourselves in 6 weeks. From scratch.
Wow.
From nothing. Yeah. Fantastic project. Yeah. Built in 2011, not long time ago, when I was a lot more naive. But we did it all laser cut. We did it all prefab. That was one of the first projects we did totally prefab. Imagine a kitchen or a bathroom or like a bathroom unit or something like that, all made in the factory and shipped. We did that with the whole space, everything, with the lighting, everything. We engineered the whole thing off-site. We bought it in pieces and made it on-site. So it was a great project. The reason why we worked with those particular geometries is because of the autistic condition. The children cannot get overtly excited. They start physically harming themselves. They start doing things. So that's why we went with a lot of smooth geometry. The lighting was all LED lights. There's no down lights. There's no specific lighting. Some of the children were very, very sick. Not incurable, but really in bad shape. And so they had to be taken down into a certain, mental frame of mind. And I went and visited a couple of autistic centers, and I was actually shocked at how invasive they were. Visually, there's lights, spotlights, colors. I was more confused than some of the patients in there.
Oh my goodness.
We just put our design minds into reverse, and everything we saw, we went, no, we're exactly the opposite, backwards. And we worked with some 3D designing and modeling and those sorts of things, and we came up with that project. But it took it out of me. Yeah.
And but what's it like to realize the power of design in terms of healing, when you go back and you see those kids and how they're doing?
Well, I went back to the space, I think 3 years ago, and there was a line outside. There's a line of people, of kids that the lady that ran the space, she did the whole thing. She's one of the best in the Southern Hemisphere. It was great. And, I can't be thankful enough to do a project like that. It was not a big project at the time. It was a tricky project, a lot of maneuvering, a lot of learning from ourselves. We did the design, we did the build, we did the execution, we did the lighting, we did absolutely everything. Met some great people along the way doing it. But no, when you see a line out the front of the building and people just go in there day in, day out, it's fantastic. yeah, it's really amazing. It's the best thing ever.
Right. Well, okay, first of all, Patrick, it's amazing to meet you. You are such an inspiration. We need to get the word out, and we will. I promise I'm going to be your great advocate. And everything you touch has a soul that we desperately are in search of these days. So I sincerely want to thank you. I definitely want to come and visit you one day. And
Yeah.
and keep doing what you're doing, and send that out to the world, and be healthy and be well.
Thanks so much, Cindy. You've got a
Yeah.
great team over there.
Amazing team.
Yeah.
Amazing team. Okay, well, sending you a virtual hug,
Thank
and,
Okay.
and God bless you, and take care, and we'll be in touch. Okay.
Well, thanks very much, Cindy. All the best.
Okay.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hey everybody, this is Cindy Allen, Editor-in-Chief of Interior Design, and welcome to episode 2 of our Delta Difference Makers. Okay, our good friends at Delta partnered up with 3 fabulous designers who have their finger on what's now and what's next to share inspiration and ideas that are both inspiring and approachable. And this year's Delta Difference Makers are here. A big welcome to Avissa Mojtahedi, she's the founder and principal of Avissa Design in Toronto. Hi, Canada, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How is everybody doing?
Yeah, we're great. And we have Eche Martinez, founder principal of Eche over on the West Coast in San Francisco. Hi, Eche.
Hey, Cindy, how are you?
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah. And then we have Leyla Jaworski, owner, creative director, Design Shop Interiors in Sacramento. Hi, Leyla.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, you Delta Difference Makers. How are you?
We're good.
Wow.
You know what's something that's so nice that happened that I saw right away is how much the 3 of you came together, and with all different backgrounds and sort of design backgrounds, and have such like affection and inspiration to each other.
Oh, absolutely. First time we met, we were in Indianapolis for our first photo shoot, I would say a couple of years ago, right, guys? And, we each came with some work already done for what would be our, concepts for the first phase of the campaign with Delta. And as you say, we each have very distinct point of views. But also we connected right away, and I think the chemistry, you can tell, right away we connected, and it's been such a fun collaboration, not only to work with them, but also get to know them better and get to meet other designers in other markets and just see how they're doing with their businesses and how things are going, and sharing ideas and frustrations every now and then, but mostly sharing really good stuff.
Exactly. So this is episode 2, you guys. The first episode highlighted you all, the Delta Difference Makers and the spaces at KBIS, remember? And we all met at KBIS, and we talked about the KBIS experience and the Delta brand. Now, if anybody missed that program, you can go on DesignTV on interiordesign.net and learn more about the campaign through deltadifferencemakers.com. Let me say it again, deltadifferencemakers.com. Say it 3 times fast. Okay, so that was great. That was wonderful. And so we talk about authenticity with Delta all the time, right? That's what they say the DNA of the campaign is. And so today we want to dig into your businesses and get to know you all a little bit more. So this is going to be a fun one, right, guys?
Oh, absolutely.
So Avissa, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about your background and where you went to school and who you worked for before you went off on your own.
Perfect. So I went to Ryerson University and I have my degree in architecture. I worked in a design firm in Rosedale in Toronto for about over 12 years with Kate Zeidler. And I then started my own practice at 26. So from the get-go, completely obsessed with design and architecture and just anything to do with this industry. I've also worked with the Property Brothers. So I've worked with them over several seasons as art director, as project manager, as client therapist, as whatever you can think of. I played that role. I'm also a design expert on a show here called City Line. So I've had a couple segments there. I'm obsessed with design. I've worked with developers. I have a lot of private clients, and I've also recently started working on commercial projects, which I also really love. It's definitely different, but you can flex some creativity there as well. I am also obsessed with golf, if you want to know about a little bit different.
Fun fact.
All right, let's talk about this golf thing. How do you relate it to design?
I'll tell you, I'm really inspired by nature, and I'll be out golfing and my instructor is like, Avissa, where are you? And I'm just like staring. And then I'll like text a client, I'm like, do you like these colors? Like the blue and the brown? And clearly there's a lot going on there, but it's really inspiring. And then golf just helps me meditate. So it kind of like clears my mind, helps me come up with concepts. I think it just does a lot.
Yeah, no, that's great. You know, I love that you said you studied architecture, because when you talk about your design, you talk about things that are sculptural and architectural. So you sort of answered it right there.
I feel like any interior that I'm starting off, definitely a color scheme is really important, but also just picking an element that's very sculptural, whether it's a light, a piece of furniture, even some sort of like, even designing stairs or designing spaces and bathrooms or kitchens even. I feel like everything has to have a sculptural element rather than, I don't know, that just really appeals to me, just to have something a little bit different in every space I'm designing.
Yeah, and Eche, you're a native of Buenos Aires, right?
That is correct. I was born and raised in Argentina, and I recently celebrated my first 10 years in San Francisco.
Woo! Congratulations, a decade.
Yeah, needless to say, it's been a really fun adventure. Even though I had a background in this interior design and architecture from my education back home in Argentina, I was more, my initial steps into the career were definitely more on the marketing side. And I really enjoyed it, but I felt like there was something missing. And when I had the chance to move to the States 10 years ago with my partner who was working in tech at the time, I was pretty much, you know, a spouse, right? We landed here. We didn't know that many people in the Bay Area. And I said, well, you know what, if I could reinvent myself, what would I do? I just want to do something that's fun. I want to be true to my, you know, my goals when it comes to a career and my aesthetic. And I did this crazy, now I see it 10 years later, I was like, wow, clearly I was in my 20s. So I Googled my favorite firms in the city, and I sent them my resume, say like total cold call, like info at, and I said, I'm Eche Martinez. I am from Argentina. I just moved here. I would love to get to know you. And luckily for me, my phone rang 10 minutes after I sent my first resume. And that was from Martha Angus's office, who became an amazing friend and mentor over the years. And I'll never forget, her office manager at the time said, hi, Eche, we just got your resume. Are you responding to the ad? I had not seen any ads to save my life. And I said, of course, yes, absolutely. I am responding to the ad.
I love that.
And, you know, are you sure? Because it's a twice a week unpaid internship. It's pretty basic stuff. I was like, I can meet you there tomorrow morning. Long story short, the rest was history. I connected with her and her team right away. She became an amazing mentor, and she took me under her wing. I'll be forever grateful for that. You know, eventually there was a moment in which I could branch out and start my own firm, and she was nothing but supportive. So like most things in life, luck, serendipity, and hard work, and here we are 10 years later, and I've had my firm now for 5 of those 10 years.
That's amazing. By the way, I would almost flip that around, because it was like hard work, because you didn't sit back away when they said it was an unpaid internship, because so that's kind of amazing.
Oh, I did it.
Leyla,
yeah.
Leyla, I like your story. East Coast girl. No, West Coast girl.
West Coast girl, went East Coast, came home.
Went back West Coast. And you were saying something like you wanted to like have a little bit more of a laid back life, and then you were like, newsflash. So tell us.
So I don't have an education in design. I don't have a background in it. I kind of joke that it picked me like later in my 30s, which can be a little bit intimidating. Part of what was so nice about working with these two is I knew how amazing they were. And you can go into this kind of situation like, oh my God, am I good enough? Like, and we all just connected just on just the best level. And so it was great. But so if I went back to my roots, I was in real estate on the East Coast, and I had a knack for just kind of walking into houses and going, oh, you know, we should move that there and fix that there, and let's get rid of that. And it just sort of started growing, and it was never my bread and butter, though. And when we decided to move back to California, I stayed home with my son for the first 2 years, and my girlfriend called. She was vice president of the largest house flipping company in Sacramento. And she said, hey, we need a project manager. And I was like, that's up my alley. My real estate background in new construction, all of that. And so I dove into that for a year, and we flipped about 200 houses in a year. So at any given time, I had up to 40 houses under construction. And, you know, I'm not the GC. I wasn't responsible for the physical construction, but I was a project manager. And I knew that I had a capacity for construction and understanding all that process, and just handling a lot at one time. And when I decided to leave that, I looked at my husband. I was like, what am I going to do? And he goes, you know, people call you to help design their houses and you say no. So why don't you give it a shot? And I literally, my kitchen table was my desk, and I sort of went into it and said, I don't know what this looks like. I don't know what to try. I'd never interned. I'd never seen a design firm in action. But I said, I'll figure it out as I go. And now here we are. At the end of this year, it'll be 7 years, and we're a team of 15, and we've been in magazines and on TV, and we have some bigger things to come that we can't talk about yet, but it's been great.
That's terrific. So again, I see the three of you completely different, and yet that's what's so amazing about design, right? It brings people together, creates community, and makes people live a better life. So let's talk about some of your projects. Avissa, I want to know about the condo, the Blue Kitchen penthouse condo in Toronto.
Sure. So this was a family. They have homes. They have various homes, but Toronto's home for them. And they were obsessed with the view. It was a very intimate space, not that large, but they really wanted to just change absolutely everything. I remember the very first meeting, they took, they gave me a tour, and they just said, look at everything. I don't want to see any of this ever again. So that was great.
By the way, I saw the before pictures, and I would totally agree with them. Those are quite before and after pictures of Avissa.
Yeah. I even said, if we keep any of this, if I'm not working on this project. So I did that well. And they really they're young. They wanted something playful, colorful, accessible, and they were really into good quality and just higher end appliances and such. So we basically changed the entire kitchen area. We found a really lovely blue that was welcoming and fun, and just a happy blue.
It's gorgeous. I love that blue.
A fun blue, and it's not obviously colors really drive our moods as well. And I just found that it was a warmer blue. So we changed all the floors. Obviously, we painted everything. We gutted all the 2 bathrooms. Their closet was a big mess, and they didn't want to close it off. So the way I designed it was to really tuck everything into the corner, and then just have another cabinet there that also stored everything away, but it was still a walk-in, and it still looked nice. Yeah, it was such a fun project. I really wanted to play with a lot of textures as well. The built-in the office space, we really needed an espresso machine, and it would not fit in the kitchen. So we thought, place it in the office, have your coffees there, maybe have some clients in, do whatever you want, but we're having a coffee machine there.
It looks great in there, by the way. Is it near the kitchen?
Like a 5-second walk, yes.
Oh.
Everything is close to the kitchen.
Did you use Delta faucets in the kitchen and the bath?
We did. In the bathrooms, we have Delta. And I know that was something that, I presented that to them early on, and they're like, love it, let's do this. So that turned out really well. They weren't really into a ton of different colors, so they really wanted to see more texture, like a play on different layering textures. So I really played that up in the office built-in, and it just turned out the space felt double the size. Obviously, color combinations have a huge impact. And then just, we had like a zebra or a cheetah pillow in the living room, which was very much not in line with kind of any of our tastes, but it just, and then we styled the coffee table. It was just such a fun project. And what I loved most was they gave me their keys. They were away for 2 months.
Oh,
and
nice.
they said, do your thing. And, and they came back. And that was
It
so.
does, it looks twice the size. And don't you think, you guys, it's kind of, as a designer, it's all about relationships, but then even with the companies that you specify, it's really about relationships. And to have that good relationship with Delta is really important in your business.
Absolutely. I mean, half of it, if not more, is really trusting the quality and understanding that it's going to be there over the next however many years. So it's that reliability, but then also understanding, being so involved with the team as well, really knowing what's being put into the product, the research, the technology, and just the brand itself is fantastic. So there's a ton of reassurance there.
Yeah, don't you guys think the same?
Oh, 100%. You're only good as the quality of the product that you install. And I always tell my clients, we're going to build a great team. We're going to get you from point A to point B in your remodeling or construction project. And hopefully we'll make it as enjoyable as we can. But, it's construction. There's going to be a few headaches and a few hiccups. But I always say, if you got a really good brand behind you or a good team or a good vendor, and you pick up the phone and say, hey, guys, we opened the box and this is what happened, that there's going to be someone on the other side, going to say, yes, Eche, we're going to fix that right away, whatever it takes. And it goes to artisans, goes to artists. It's a matter of relationships. And I think that's also part, as you start growing your business and your career starts taking shape, you and your vendors and the brands that you work with, you're a team. There needs to be synergy, right?
I think it's like, yes to all that. I think two things. First of all, I think the designer is like the best salesperson for a manufacturer, for sure. And it's about product, and then what you said, service, right? It's kind of both of those things in tandem. You have to love the product, but you have to be able to get it.
100%.
And a company has to really service your needs for your client.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So Leyla, let's talk about what's a favorite project that you want to talk about today?
Probably our Sebastopol farmhouse. That was a highlight of last year.
So tell us about it.
We were so we're in Sacramento, so Sebastopol's in the Bay Area. It's about 2.5 hours away from us, and we were contacted by a couple with 3 kids. And many people would argue that the original house was amazing, but it was an old Tudor. It was this amazing Tudor on this amazing property, but it was very dark and lots of small rooms, and they just really wanted to take it California style. And we, not only did we take the house down to the studs, we put on a big addition, and we really turned it into the most glorious California modern farmhouse.
I see the kitchen looks stunning, and that table in the middle, wow.
Yeah. So Angie Edwards was the lead on that one. Because we are such a large team, we all kind of take lead on different projects. We collaborate all together within the firm. It's really amazing, but there's always a main point person. And she was the point person on that team, and she just took it over the top.
And what's your favorite spot in that house?
It's so hard to say because, and we do this, I don't know about you guys, Avissa and Eche, but every time a project comes out and you see the photos, you're like, that's totally my favorite. And then the next one comes out and you're like, oh, but that's my favorite. That kitchen shot has really gone viral on Instagram, and I think it's amazing, but there are also just little moments throughout the house that speak a little bit more even to the decorating than necessarily the construction part of it. And I don't know that I can pick one.
All right. They're all your babies. I know that's how it is. All right, Eche, I know that you worked on a beautiful project in Presidio Heights, and it was for a tech company or something that they had moved to San Francisco.
Right. So husband and wife team with 2 kids. I get like total cold call from someone in Seattle saying, "Hi, we just saw your website. You know, we're looking for someone young, someone in the Bay Area, of course, someone who's, you know, ambitious, someone who's eager, all the right true words. Can you meet us tomorrow? We're flying tomorrow for the day to San Francisco. Can you meet us tomorrow on site?" I was like, okay, like, was I referred by an architect? Like, you know how it is, right? Again, going
Oh, clients.
right. So I go into this mystery first date, and when I see the house from outside, I just absolutely fell in love with it. It was a turn of the century, Gilded Age, Friend, Beaux-Arts residence, absolutely stunning in Presidio Heights, which is one of the most beautiful classical neighborhoods of San Francisco, overlooking the bay, overlooking Park Presidio. I mean, it did not get any more quintessential than that. The only weird thing was that when I, you know, as I approach the meeting and I walk up the stairs to go into the house, I see that there's tradespeople wrapping things up. There's a porta potty. And I was like, okay, these guys just bought the house, and there's either a remodel already taking place. So anyway, so I walk in and I meet the client, who was absolutely lovely and super fun. And she said, "Well, in complete honesty, Eche, we've never seen the interior. We just made an offer. We like the house from the outside, and we just found out that the previous owner has been doing a 2-year, totally down to the studs, very ambitious remodel," which was great. But I mean, you've seen the pictures of our completed project. The only issue was that they modernized it inside to a point that it was just so void of like any historical character or
They stripped it away. They stripped it away.
Oh, no more fireplaces, no more base, no more crown, no more, absolutely nothing. Luckily, they gilded the forged iron, cast iron round spiral staircase connecting all levels of the house was left there intact.
Thank
and then
God.
said, I want in an updated way, in a contemporary way, I just want to give this house, you know, its sense of place and former glory. So we did this reverse exercise in which, when the previous crew was done with their super crisp modern remodel, we started bringing some of the elements that we sort of imagined would have been there, right, back into this residence. I think you may have seen the black and white marble checkerboard at the entry hall.
Yep.
That
gorgeous.
Going back to favorite babies, that library by far is my favorite thing that we added to the property. There was absolutely nothing there. It was gray walls and a TV in the middle, no millwork, absolutely nothing. And when we walked in, we said, okay, we need to give this room a purpose, because it was close to the social areas, but far enough that it could be private. And we said, okay, this will be our moment, our library moment with the client. And we connected right away. And speaking of collaboration, they were, to Avissa's point, they were out of state for the entire project. We had 6 months to completely redo the house and furnish it completely, including the art program. And I would say most of our conversations were via text. And she said, okay, send me 3 options via text. Okay, which one do you like? I said, well, option 1 is within our budget, but option 2 is really nice. And she said, okay, option 1. And like that for 6 months. And then we had the big reveal moment, almost like a TV show. They flew in with their kids and we had everything set up for them. The art was already up, flowers in every room. And it was one of the most gratifying projects that I've ever done. That's why I wanted to share it with you guys, because we're really proud of it.
Yeah, it is a stunner. I'm really excited to share it with everybody. Avissa, you know, we talk about architecture. So Eche was saying we had to bring it back in that particular case. But you sent over a few pictures that were about trying to find something that made a space special, feel special, like having a feature wall. And you sent us a couple of beautiful images, one of a living room. Tell us about that.
So this house was, it was supposed to be more contemporary, and it was a young family. They had fantastic taste, and they just said, make our friends faint as soon as they walk in.
Oh,
that doesn't get any better than that.
It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, so that was like super exciting. So what I wanted to do, I like to pick our light fixtures early on, because I feel like that's something that's left to the end and it makes or breaks an interior. Yep. So we started with our lights, and we found this beautiful hand-blown glass bulb sculptural light. I love the movement in this fixture, and that's what really inspired me to do something wild and crazy on the wall. So the angles are kind of all over the place. And what I started doing was I just took some green tape and started taping the feature wall to show where all of our lines would go. Once they approved it, we had it all done up in MDF, and it just became this like backdrop of lines, and it mimicked the light fixture. It just kind of all made sense. So to me, that was a really great way to kick off the interior, kick off the house. And again, it was just really inspired by the shape of the light, and it just kind of took on a life of its own.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I want to ask you guys, because, you know, frankly, I'm used to looking at projects and I could look at them all day with you. But we should talk about what's going on right now, and what are you hearing about from your clients in terms of how they're doing with COVID and projects, how they're doing, and their thoughts about maybe health and wellness. What are your clients saying?
It's crazy for us right now. I think when COVID first hit, I sobbed, because I thought to myself, wow, we were set to have our best year ever in this business. And I felt like the rug was getting pulled out from under us. But instead, what we quickly saw is people really aren't going shopping. They're not spending money. They're staying at home. They're sitting in their houses, dissecting everything that they hate and want to change. They're not going on vacations. They're not going to the mall. They're not going out to eat as much. And so their homes are really where they're investing and spending the money. So we, not only our design firm, but our store, even just our retail store, everything is busier than ever. And I think people just want to create that sense of comfort and home, and they want to love, you know, I think the attitude is, if we're going to be stuck here, we want to love the place that we're in. That's what we're experiencing.
Yeah, I would say it's the same thing here. You know, March, there was a lot of uncertainty in California, especially here. You know, our job sites were in complete lockdown. There were a couple of weeks in which, to Leila's point, you know, the first quarter, we were run. It was really gearing up to be a really busy year. And then there was so much uncertainty, and in a way, so much fear in mid-March, and I would say early April, that I was like, okay, well, we will need to reinvent the way that we collaborate with our clients. We need to reassure them that, you know, their projects will keep on moving forward, but also that there's a lot of uncertainty going on. And I think now that, you know, we've all acknowledged that the home is or will be the center of the universe, at least for a while, the program is really changing, and people are putting more time and putting more effort into turning that home into a place where they can work properly, if they need any privacy or they need to acquire space where to take a video call. They also want to remain active. So if it means, you know, creating you know, an extra space or regaining an unused space in a home for working out. Some lucky clients, maybe they want to have a steam shower because they miss being in the gym.
Right. We're hearing that. Yeah.
Right? Lots of that. Or it could also be, you know, a study room. Like, kids need to be in the proper setting and not be distracted, just like us adults. We're having our video calls. They need a place where to follow with their education, if it's going to be a couple of months or a couple more, I don't know, a couple more quarters, a year.
Right.
Who knows?
Don't say years. Don't say years.
Right. No.
I hope not years. But, you know, the program, our residential programs are definitely growing significantly, and we are busier than ever.
I wonder about the word that we've heard that we haven't heard in 20 years. So let's talk about the word hygiene. So yeah. Like companies like Delta, they're in the business of hygiene, but we've never, as designers, you've never had to talk about it. You've always had to talk about design, right? I've never heard the word, you know, spoken between us, and now it's circling around us. So having a company like Delta support you all and want to give you voices, at the same time giving you those useful tools for your clients, right? Because that's what they want, cleanliness, right, Avissa? Absolutely.
The touchless feature is just like a whatever you believe in scent. It is, you know, any faucet that we're picking out, it has to be touchless. Clients, even if it's touchless, I've had one client say, well, I'm going to disinfect it after, which is fine. But everyone is, and rightfully so, very much focused on, you know, keeping everything sanitized and clean. And if there's anyone coming in through the house, having a mask on and just a lot of cleaning. And you know, there's a lot of scary things going on, so everyone's very much focused on keeping it safe for sure.
Yeah, Leyla, are you hearing that as well?
We are, for sure. And I think even for us in California, what I've loved about Delta, there's a whole different layer to it. So we have the strictest water restrictions in the country, our gallons per minute. And I have Delta throughout my whole house. And part of the reason that I did that is because of the technology that they put into the faucets. It totally makes up for our lack of actual water, and you would never get in one of those, under one of those shower heads and have a poor experience. And so that's a lot of like what we're explaining to our clients, is that the technology is there to make up for the water pressure, and they're really happy with that.
That's an amazing story. Okay, by the way, so we're almost out of time. So I want you all to pick your like one favorite Delta collection. Okay, Leyla, what's your favorite?
The Broderick, which is new.
Okay, Avissa?
I'm gonna go with my Emmeline, just because it really pulled the design together, and I just think it's beautiful. So
What
Emmeline,
finish?
the black for sure.
The black. Okay, Eche.
Maybe I'm biased because of my recent love affair with the Trillium collection, but I'll stick to my Trillium collection. Same thing, also in the black, in the matte black finish.
Great, super, super. It's great. See, you're all different.
We are.
Well, listen, thanks so much. Look, it's been a pleasure, you know, from KBIS last year where, you know, someone was dragging me over. They're like, you have to go see the Delta Difference Makers. To now, we've had 2 shows together. Thank you, Delta, for all your support and for creating this amazing program that does support the designers, the design community, and give an authentic voice to Delta. Thank you all very much. And sending lots of good love and safety and healthy living for everybody till we can get back together again and give ourselves a real one, right?
Thank you, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Good energy, sending good energy. Thank you, Delta. Thank you so much.